Have you ever worked so hard that your hands were rough, your back was broken, and you gave everything you had, but your life still didn't get better? No peace, no happiness, no progress, just the same walls closing in a little more every day. You paid every bill, you covered every expense, you tried everything you could think of, but at the end of the month, there was still nothing left. Nothing saved, nothing extra, nothing to show for it. And you looked around and saw people moving forward, people working less than you and earning more than you. The whole world moving ahead while you stayed in the exact same spot, working harder than anyone you know and going nowhere. And the question that wouldn't leave you alone at night, will my life always be like this? Is this really all there is for me? If that feeling lives somewhere inside you, don't go anywhere, because this is the story of a man named Marcus, a man who had nothing but calloused hands, a sick wife, and a secret he stumbled upon at midnight that quietly, steadily changed everything. Marcus was 35. He lived in a small working town where the alarm went off before sunrise and the day didn't end until your body forced it to. Every morning he was at the construction site by 5:30, carrying bricks, mixing concrete, working under the heat until his shirt was soaked through and his legs felt like they belonged to someone else. He wasn't lazy. Nobody who knew Marcus would ever say that. He was one of the hardest workers on that site. But hard work and a better life, those two things had stopped being connected for him a long time ago. His wife Clara had been sick for almost a year. She needed medicine every month. It wasn't expensive, but when every single dollar already has somewhere to go, even a small amount becomes a wall you can't climb. Marcus would sit at the kitchen table late at night after Clara fell asleep, staring at the same numbers, the rent, the groceries, the medicine, hoping they would somehow add up differently this time. They never did. He wasn't just tired in his body. He was tired somewhere deeper, tired of trying, tired of hoping, tired of watching other people's lives slowly get better while his stayed exactly the same. One night in October, a little after midnight, Clara's medicine ran out completely. Marcus sat outside on the front steps in the cold dark. He didn't go inside. He just needed somewhere to put all the weight he was carrying. The street was completely quiet. Everyone was asleep, and Marcus sat there thinking, I don't know how much longer I can do this. That's when Raymond stepped out of the house next door with a cup of coffee. Raymond was different now than he used to be. 3 years ago, he had been exactly where Marcus was. Same construction job, same empty wallet at the end of the month, same exhausted look in his eyes. But something had changed in Raymond. He now owned a small furniture shop in town. Real customers, real income, his own name on the door. Raymond sat down on the steps beside Marcus without being asked. He didn't say anything at first, just sat there in the quiet. "You okay?" he finally asked. Marcus shook his head slowly. "I don't know how to keep going like this, Raymond. I work every single day. I give everything I have, and it's still not enough. It's never enough." Raymond looked at him for a long moment. Then he said quietly, "I know that place you're in right now. I lived there. I sat in almost this exact spot 3 years ago, feeling exactly what you're feeling." Marcus looked at him. "So what changed?" Raymond held up his coffee and thought for a second. 2 hours, he said, every night, midnight to 2 in the morning, when the whole world is asleep and there's nothing pulling at you. No boss, no bills, no noise, just silence and time that belongs completely to you. I used those 2 hours to build something. First hour I learned, second hour I practiced. Every single night, 90 days without stopping." Marcus stared at him. "That's really it?" "That's really it. But don't let the simplicity fool you." Raymond's voice was steady. Every single night, your body is going to beg you to stay in bed. Your mind is going to whisper that you're too tired, that it won't work, that you're wasting your time, and you have to show up anyway. That's where most people quit.
Marcus asked, "What did you learn?" Raymond smiled quietly. "I was a construction worker just like you, so I learned woodworking. I already knew how to work with my hands. I just had to learn how to build something people would actually pay for. First, I made a rough little table, then a chair. A neighbor bought one, then another neighbor, then a store owner noticed. And slowly, everything changed." After Raymond went back inside, Marcus sat alone in the cold for a long time. He looked down at his hands. Rough, scarred, strong. Hands that had spent years building other people's dreams. He thought about Clara sleeping inside. He thought about the empty medicine bottle on the counter. And something moved in him. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like a door opening in a dark room. That night, Marcus set his alarm for midnight. The first week was hard in a way he hadn't expected. His body had already worked 8 hours by the time midnight came. His eyes burned, his back ached. But he sat at the kitchen table with his phone propped against a cup and started watching free woodworking videos on YouTube. He took notes in an old notebook with a pen that kept running out of ink. He watched the same videos 2 and 3 times until his hands understood what his eyes were seeing. The second week, he started gathering scrap wood from the construction site, pieces nobody wanted, leftovers. He worked quietly at the kitchen table while Clara slept, so he wouldn't wake her. The cuts were rough, the joints didn't always fit, but he kept going. Something shifted around day 21. He stopped dreading the midnight alarm. He started looking forward to it. The house was completely still. The street outside was dark and empty. And for the first time and longer than he could remember, those 2 hours felt like they belonged to him. Not to his job, not to his bills, not to his exhaustion. To him. On day 31, he finished his first real piece, a small wooden shelf. The edges weren't perfect, but it was solid. It was real. He placed it on the kitchen counter. When Clara woke up the next morning and saw it, she ran her fingers along the wood slowly and looked up at Marcus with something he hadn't seen in her eyes in a long time. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. By the end of month 2, Marcus had made several pieces. A neighbor knocked on his door and asked about the shelf visible through his window. Marcus sold it for $40. He stood in his doorway holding 2 $20 bills and felt something crack open in his chest. Not because of the money, because of what it meant. Someone had paid for something he built with his own hands in the quiet hours when everyone else was sleeping. Word spread the way it does in small towns, quietly and faster than you expect. By month 3, there were small orders, a bookshelf, a cabinet, a small table for someone's porch. Then, on day 89, a restaurant owner named David came to Marcus's backyard, which was really just a cleared space with some wood and basic tools. David was opening a second location and wanted handmade wooden furniture throughout the entire space. Tables, chairs, wall panels, everything. Marcus stood there in his backyard, in the same town, with the same hands he had always had, and said yes. That one order changed everything. Marcus left his construction job 4 months later. He rented a real workshop. He hired 2 men from his neighborhood. Clara got the treatment she needed, and slowly, steadily, she got better. 2 years later, Marcus had 10 people working with him, a waiting list of clients, a name people recognized across the city. His old co-workers would see him and say, "Marcus, how did this happen? You were right here with us." And Marcus would smile and say simply, "I was, but while you were sleeping, I was building." Here is what I want you to hear right now. You are not stuck because you are lazy. You are not behind because you are unlucky. You are exactly where you are because the hours that could change your life are the ones you are currently sleeping through. Midnight to 2 in the morning, the world goes quiet. Nobody needs anything from you. Your mind is clear. Those 2 hours belong to you. The only question is what you do with them. 90 days, 2 hours a night. That is 540 hours. Enough to learn something real, enough to build something that lasts, enough to become someone different. Marcus did it with scrap wood, a phone and screen, and a quiet kitchen. What will you build? If this story moved something in you, hit that like button right now. Then drop a comment and tell me, what is the one thing you are going to build in your midnight hours? Share this with someone who keeps saying they want to change. And subscribe, because every single week I bring you stories of ordinary people who made one decision that changed everything. Your midnight is waiting. Don't sleep through it.